Maintaining muscle mass is the key to healthy aging. If you can't get out of a chair, and if you can't do what you love, you don't have a quality life. And maintaining muscle mass is not about eating protein and protein shakes. Listen to this clip from a seminar featuring Dr. Robert Wolfe, world-renowned expert on nutrition and muscle metabolism, as well as a leading authority on amino acids.
Okay, we're going to get a little technical, so you got to go easy on our audience here with the technical terms. We're going to talk about protein synthesis. Explain how protein synthesis works and why it's such an important function to having and living healthy.
Sure. I think that I'll kind of go back in history a little bit. In the early 1900s, up until that point, the thought was that you had a certain amount of protein in your body. And protein is like about 70% of the, excluding water, it's about 70% of your body. So it's a major part of your body. And the thought was that you just were born with that amount of protein. As you got to a certain age, then that's what you had. But it was discovered at that time that really this wasn't true, that there was a constant process of turnover of protein, meaning that the proteins you had in your body were being broken down and new proteins replacing them. And the importance of that, protein breakdown and protein synthesis, is that older proteins that aren't functioning as well are selected to be degraded and replaced by newer, better functioning protein. And this is, nowhere is this more important than the muscle, because the central aspect of training and getting stronger is a faster muscle protein turnover, so that you break down the muscle fibers that cause the forced contraction, you break down the old ones and you replace them with new ones. So you see in the nutrition literature a great focus in muscle on protein synthesis, or muscle protein synthesis, and that's because that's really the key metabolic basis for maintaining your muscle mass and your muscle strength, is that new protein, muscle protein, is produced to balance what is always going to be continuously lost.
And this is going on 24/7 every day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in your book, you also draw a very interesting comparison. It was one with a subject that was a 700-pound man that was hospitalized for extreme obesity, and probably his system was shutting down. And they basically did not feed him any food for a year. And you compared that to a food protest that took place in Ireland many years ago, and where they were drawing blood from these subjects, and many of these subjects were actually dying off faster than the man that lived in the hospital for a year with no food. Explain that. Tell us about that story and why that comparison is so important.
Yeah, because I think that the point to understand is that the muscle serves as the reservoir of amino acids in our body. And by that I mean that it's the only tissue in the body that has enough extra protein that you can afford to lose a little bit of it and you'll still be okay. If you think about the skin, for example, if you went a couple of days without eating and the rate of breakdown of protein was greater than the rate of synthesis, you start losing your skin. That's not going to work out. And the same thing with your heart and brain and so forth. That there are a lot of essential tissues and organs that have to have a constant supply of amino acids to maintain their viability and that are central to life. Muscle can afford to lose a little. So what happens over the course of the normal day is when you are not eating food and you're in a post-absorptive state, the muscle breaks down and releases amino acids into the blood. So then there's a net loss of muscle because breakdown is faster than synthesis. Muscle breaks down and releases those amino acids into the blood. Then those amino acids can be taken up by other tissues and maintaining the adequate function. And what happens with, the reason these two were so interesting in comparison is that this 700-pound man actually had a big muscle mass as well, because he's so fat that just to move around, he built up a big muscle reserve. So he had enough muscle that he could go a whole year without eating and maintain normal blood glucose levels.
They just gave him what, vitamins and minerals?
Vitamins and minerals and water for a year, but he had enough muscle that he could maintain, and as long as those muscle As long as those amino acids were maintained, he was okay. The Irish hunger strikers were pretty skinny to begin with, and what happened was by 40 days they had run out of muscle on average, and as soon as that happened, the blood levels of amino acids dropped and they died within a day of when the amino acid levels could not be dropped, started to drop. So it shows the importance of muscle in maintaining the blood levels and how important the regulation of amino acids are. It's the most important thing. You hear a lot about the blood glucose, blood lipids. It's only the drop in amino acids that is actually lethal. It's the only thing in the blood that a disruption is actually lethal, and we have to have maintained to survive.
Muscles basically are keeping us alive.
Absolutely. That without this process of the muscle reserve, we would not be able to survive.
If you found this video helpful, like, share, and subscribe. For Dr. Wolfe's full presentation, see the link below. To live stronger at any age, visit myohealth.com and take the 30-day MyoHealth Challenge.